With breaking news happening now, this is a Wave News Alert.
This is Wave News at 3. I'm more Jolles in for Myra. And breaking right now, Carson Wrights, the man who shot and killed 2 men at a Roosters restaurant in 2021, was just sentenced to prison time in court. But before he was handed his sentence, Wrights gave an emotional testimony to the court for the first time. Wrights was sentenced to 17 years in prison today for killing Bradley Cross and Michael Miller at a Roosters restaurant on Preston Highway back in 2021. During his trial, the jury acquitted Wrights of murder charges, but convicted him of second-degree manslaughter in the deaths of Miller and Cross. The jury had recommended that he get 17 years in prison, but before a judge set that sentence today, Wrights had an opportunity to plead for a lesser sentence, tearfully apologizing to the family of Bradley Cross, who was just an innocent bystander in the shooting. After that, the Cross family gave their own tearful plea to the judge.
It pains me that because of my actions that he is no longer here. And I know that I may never be forgiven for what happened that night, but I just pray that you may have some mercy on me in this court.
I would never wish this upon you as much as I hate you, because this is a feeling that never goes away. I never saw my dad after he got up to go home. I just saw his lifeless body being rolled out into an ambulance. I never got to say goodbye or I love you one more time.
And after those emotional pleas, the judge sentenced Wrights to the recommended 17 years in prison. He was taken out of the courtroom to prison, where he will remain for that entire period of time. Wave News reporter Alina Noakes will have more reaction from the courtroom tonight at 5 and 6. Well, meantime, another delay in the case of a woman accused of killing her son and stuffing his body in a suitcase 2 years ago. Jolles Anderson is competent to stand trial, and today the judge was supposed to set a trial date, but that didn't happen. Wave News reporter Marissa Berg tells us frustration is building.
People in Washington County say the delays in Cairo Jordan's case are making them more frustrated with the court system altogether.
Nothing's going to stop it. We will be here till the very end.
We're not giving up.
Yvonne Casey and Janet Irk have followed 5-year-old Cairo Jordan's case since the beginning. 2 years ago, police say Cairo's mother, Jolles Anderson, killed her son in Louisville, stuffed his body in a suitcase, and then left it in a wooded area in Washington County, Indiana. A mushroom hunter discovered 5-year-old Cairo and called 911.
How you can do that and put him in a suitcase and drive to another state and dump him off in the woods like an animal and hoping that he would never be found. That's pretty sick.
Casey says Cairo's death isn't the only pain his father is carrying.
After he lost Cairo, his sister was in a semi-wreck and caught fire and passed away.
Casey says the heartbreak they feel for Cairo and his family weighed on them Thursday. Jolles Anderson's pretrial conference was moved to another month. Casey and Irk remain optimistic as the case gets closer to a trial.
A little bit.
It's stressful now.
Stressful,
it's
but
getting more.
I'm glad that it's now coming. I talked to Cairo's dad, and, hopefully when the trial starts, they'll be able to come to that.
Court documents say Jolles Anderson is requesting trial dates around April and October. Her next pretrial conference is scheduled for March 27th at 9 a.m. In Washington County, Marissa Burke, Wave News.
All right, thanks, Marissa. New here at 3, with storms expected this weekend across Kentucky and the possibility of flash flooding, Governor Andy Beshear is laying out his administration's plan to keep Kentuckians safe. Take a listen.
We're talking with neighboring National Guard to make sure that we have the number of helicopters that we might need. And depending on how the forecast is going into tomorrow, we'll be pre-positioning National Guard for assistance and help. That's something we're doing the planning stage on right now. But before we call up and mobilize these individuals, we want to see at least one last forecast.
Beshear also mentioned getting swift water rescue teams and fish and wildlife personnel on standby. And our storm tracking team has flagged Saturday as an alert day because of this forecast. But first, let's talk about tonight. Meteorologist Brian Good joins us now with a look at the forecast. Hey, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Ward. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's going to be our big concern as we enter this upcoming weekend. In fact, a flood watch was issued this morning for Saturday. Includes just about everyone watching roughly along and south the Ohio River. As the flood watch, this would include flash flooding as well as river flooding, so be aware of that. It's both different types that will have potentially area. Here's the latest numbers that are rolling in, and in general, you can see about 1 to 2 inches across southern areas of Indiana. Louisville likely about 2 to 3, and then 3 to 5. Maybe even higher across central and southern areas of Kentucky. And that's a big concern, obviously, for these rivers getting out of their banks. And even the Ohio is forecast to rise and could get close to at least action stage. We'll be watching that. All right, in the short term, we got a few flurries have been flying around. Cold. We've been struggling to try to get back to freezing, and it's unlikely we're going to get there after a drop that we had this morning. 29 officially in Louisville, 30 in Jeffersonville, 27 at Fort Knox. But this is what you need to dress for. All right, now wind chills running into the teens. Right now, 19, in fact, is what it feels like in Louisville. But skies are beginning to clear back to the northwest. We'll have a nice little sunset, but that clearing will allow for the thermometer to absolutely tank for tonight. Get ready for a cold night. We'll drop into at least the lower 20s by the wee hours of your Friday, but likely into the teens when you wake up tomorrow morning. We'll talk much more about that weekend setup, and another alert day has been issued for next week. Coming up in a few minutes, Ward.
All right, Brian, we'll see you then. Thank you. A new Kentucky bill will make it easier for coaching staff and parents to report abuse and neglect involving student athletes. Senate Bill 120 was brought before Education Committee members in Frankfort today. Under Kentucky law, anybody that has reasonable suspicion that a child is being abused has a duty to report it. Now, this bill would not change the current law, but instead would add language to help coaching staff make reports under the proper procedures. It would also provide guidance to coaches on how to detect abuse and how to respond to injuries.
We're not changing the law. What we want to make sure is that our coaches understand that that's the law and that they know how to comply with it, because a lot of times in these situations, we hear from people that say, you know, I thought that there was something off. I saw something and it concerned me, but I didn't know what to do about it. And so if we can educate parents, kids, coaches about what to do when you see something that concerns you and how you can satisfy that legal obligation.
The bill would also require sports participation forms to notify parents and athletes of their rights and risks. Senate Bill 120 passed committee unanimously this morning. 2 local Corsair kids will get the chance to throw first pitches at a Major League Baseball stadium. 10-year-old Rory and 14-year-old Eli have been playing in the Miracle League in Louisville, and this weekend they'll head to Arlington, Texas, home of the Rangers, to cheer on U of L during the Shriners Children's College Showdown Baseball Tournament. Rory and Eli will throw out first pitches before the Cards play Friday and Saturday. We actually got the chance to talk with Rory at the Cards indoor hitting facility. Her mom tells us she's been playing with the Miracle League for 5 years. We asked Rory what she's most excited to see when she arrives in Texas.
Maybe go see the sweets.
Well, we are certainly wishing Rory luck. The Shriner College Showdown features 6 teams. The Cards will face Texas, Oklahoma State, and Arizona over the next 3 days. Up next, the Senate has confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the Health and Human Services Secretary, but once again, Senator Mitch McConnell voted against his own party nominee. You're going to hear his explanation why coming up. Plus, the cost to get your Valentine a bouquet of flowers has gone up again this year. We're going to tell you how all the flowers being sent to sweethearts most likely come from the same place.